All right, welcome back to another video on the channel, and we are back here today. Now, we've all thought about cowboys. We've all thought about what it's like to live in the 1800s. You know, was it as exciting as people make it seem? Were cowboys and outlaws, were they really shooting up saloons and getting drunk on the daily? We all think about how life really, was back then. Was it good or was it bad? Now, I think it personally was bad, constantly having to watch your back all the time and now let's state this. There's a difference between being a cowboy and an outlaw. Cowboys are, ranch hands, cow drivers, basic ranch hands, like people that work on a farm. There's no difference. Cowboys. But people misinterpret the name cowboy for outlaw. An outlaw is like a cowboy, a gangster cowboy, pretty much. Like people that ran around and robbed trains and robbed stagecoaches, did savagery, stuff like that. They were fighting the law. That's why they're called outlaws, because they didn't want to live within the confinement of the law. That's the name outlaw. So I don't imagine the life of an outlaw was very calming. It was probably you're always on the run. You're always getting shot at, which some of them probably like the thrill. I don't know. But yeah, today we're going to check out a video called Why It Sucked to Be an Outlaw. So yeah, like I said, it probably does suck to be an outlaw. Constantly worrying about keeping your life, that is one of the most stressful things. I'm already afraid of dying, and having that on my mind that someone's could be right there trying to shoot at me, or like someone could be like following me right now, it scares me to my deepest parts of my soul. So anyway, we're gonna check out this video in 3, 2, 1. Let's check it out.
This is you, and unfortunately you're born in 1874.
Yeah, unfortunately. Bad time. I mean, 1800. This is around the time of, laws finally starting to get in place. Or not in place. They're starting to get control, because before they had power, but not as much power. That's why outlaws existed, because they didn't have enough power to actually get these gangs in jail. But as time went on, as more people started working for the law kind of took over, and that's why we have the government and things like that today. If you don't know, I'm actually playing Red Dead Redemption on my gaming channel right now, so that's why I'm kind of so knowledgeable about all this stuff. So yeah, go check out my gaming channel. Link will be in the description below. It would make my day if you would go over there and say hi. Anyway, let's get back into the reaction.
You were born into a piss-smelling upstairs room of a saloon in a town so small that it doesn't even have a name, just a sign that says, "Don't stay too long," and population -1.
Or it's just a sign that says bar or saloon. Because you got to think, back then, there wasn't like all these famous company names, KFC, McDonald's, Popeyes, Walmart, all these AutoZone, all these like named companies, Five Guys, 7-Eleven, Speedway, Shell, I'm just naming a lot of stuff. But point is, back then, things were just super cliche. It just said what it was. If it was a barbershop. If it was a saloon, like I said, saloon. If it was a doctor, it would say doctor or pharmacy. There was no all these names that we have today. Things were much more simple.
Your mother was 14 and exhausted. Your father was a stranger with a gambling problem and vanished before your first tooth came in.
Yeah, the mother's 14 years old and the father's 38.
You didn't grow up with big dreams. You grew up on spilled whiskey, stale bread, and the knowledge that a rattlesnake could slither into your bed and kill you in a matter of seconds. By the time you can count to 10, you've already seen a man bleed.
It's an exciting life, right?
Out in the street over a poker hand after a good old classic Western standoff. School is a luxury.
Over a poker game, yep. Getting shot over a poker game.
Maybe you learned to read from a Bible and an old newspaper. Maybe not. More likely, you learned numbers by gambling and the alphabet by forging signatures. If you were lucky enough to go to school, most of the time you'd drop out and be working full-time.
I probably had a fake name, too.
You hit 12 or 14.
Go ahead and add it into the cowboy stereotype. Fake name.
Your family puts you to work young, hauling water, shoveling manure, or running errands.
Rustling cows.
For older criminals. You had to do this if you and your family wanted to survive to see the next week. See, jobs back then didn't pay very much. A cowboy would make about $25 a month. Railroad workers were about $30, and you? Well, boys started working around the age of 6 or 7.
Yeah, sweeping. Most young boys like this would be either sweeping or why did I just forget? Working on a ranch or newspaper boys. That was a popular thing. Newspaper boys. They would hand out newspapers for companies, but most of them they got paid dirt. Most of the work was in like the railroads and coal mines. Sadly enough, I mean, you could make a lot of money back then, or not a lot of money. You could make a good amount of money back then, but the jobs were horrible. Working in a coal mine is not good for the body at all. It's not like people would die at the age of like 25. Just working their life away, working from some rich oil man who could care less about the wages. Much like Leviticus Cornwall in Red Dead Redemption 2. That's who I thought of.
And most of the time it was for free working for your family. There were no protections against child labor until
working for free.
Most of the time it was for free working for your family. There were no protections against child labor until the early 1900s, so it was legal and expected that kids worked from sun up till sundown to help their
Yep, and if you complain, I made you, boy. You work like cuz a lot of the time families would have children so for the sole purpose of needing more work on the farms or on the ranch,
families survive. You start stealing food before you even know it's wrong. A loaf of bread here, a coin from a drunk man's coat there. By age 10, you've probably been caught and beaten at least once. By 12, you're riding with older boys who show you how to pick locks and steal women's purses. You're rewarded with maybe a swig of whiskey to numb the pain. As you grow up, you first try honest work. Briefly, until you realize that fixing fences for $2 a week is somehow
and then you ultimately become an outlaw. You join some gang and then they're like, yeah man, we're making tons of money, we're robbing stagecoaches, but they don't tell you about the part where they have people that are breathing down their necks trying to kill them.
Worse than being shot at. So you drift into the outlaw life, not because you wanted to, but because it's the only job where you can write your own hours.
It's like being a modern day gang member. It's no different than like, I hate to say this, like a black person growing up in a low income area and becoming a thug. That's something we see, not with just black people. In America, mostly black people are the ones that, get the camera pointed towards them when it comes to things like that. But yeah,
your boss and try to actually make some money so you don't.
That happens a lot in like Mexican cartels too. They kind of just grow up in that life and they don't have a choice, and then they get thrown in some maximum security prison for 1,000 years, and they never even had a chance to do any different. They were born into that life.
Starved to death. You heard the stories of the insane lives the outlaws before you were living. In fact, many of these famous outlaws were teenagers. Jesse James committed his first murder before he was 18. Billy the Kid reportedly killed his first man at 15 and was dead by 21, and some of these so-called gangs were barely more than groups of angry teens with guns and bad facial hair. You specifically became an outlaw to try and better your life and make more money, but actually most robberies profited very little.
Better your life? Oh yeah, let me go steal some railroad bonds and try to sell them.
Many stagecoach robberies got less than $100, and
well, that's just
the infamous Northfield bank robbery by the James Younger gang.
It's just not robbing stagecoaches is just not a good. I mean, most of them weren't carrying that. I mean, you'd be better off stealing the horses and going to sell them or something. I mean, might have a rare horse on a. You're better off just selling the wagon. Like a lot of stagecoaches, that's something that video games portray. Like they weren't just riding around with thousands of dollars in the back of a stagecoach with one guy on it, like riding the horse. Like that's very inaccurate. They didn't have that much. I mean, obviously you have to exaggerate it for video games, but I feel like stagecoaches, they were made to seem like they were carrying, oh, this stagecoach has 1,000 gold bricks in it. Really? I mean, it's so easy to rob.
Less than $100.
Usually if they were doing transports where they were transporting a large amount of money, there would be like 10, 20, 30 guys riding. There just wouldn't be one guy on the front taking a stroll. He doesn't even have a gun on him.
And the infamous Northfield bank robbery,
you might as well just put a sign up that says "Rob me" on the
by the James Younger gang was a total failure and left most of the gang dead or arrested. So congratulations, you quit hardworking labor for no money to be an outlaw who will probably die for no money. Your outfit is not what it looks like in the movies. Instead, it's a filthy, patched-together collection of whatever clothes you didn't die in yesterday. Your boots are mismatched, your coat smells like 20 days with no shower, BO, and horse, and your hat
haven't slept in 3 days.
Has more bullet holes than your last hideout. You haven't seen a toothbrush since you were a child, and your hygiene routine involves a splash of creek water and hoping no one notices your teeth are starting to fall out of your mouth. Every meal you're lucky enough to eat is a game
Oh yeah, this is describing Arthur Morgan's life perfectly.
of chance. Sometimes you eat jerky so dry it could be used as roof tile. Sometimes it's beans, canned if you're lucky, spoiled if you're not. One time you found a half-eaten apple on the side of a wagon trail and considered it dessert. Another time you tried cooking a squirrel over a fire you made with a torn wanted poster of your own face. Food poisoning isn't a risk.
Didn't even skin the squirrel. Just threw the squirrel on the fur and all.
Made with a torn wanted poster of your own face. Food poisoning isn't a risk, it's a lifestyle. And when there's no food, there's always whiskey. It's your breakfast, your dinner, and your sleeping aid. You once used it to clean a knife wound, and then drank the rest of the bottle so you wouldn't remember the screaming. Being alive back in the Wild West was no joke. The life expectancy of a normal person back then was about 35 to 40 years old. But if you managed to make it past 20, you had a good chance to make it.
Is that counting like murders, or is that just counting like health-wise? It's crazy.
To 50. But unfortunately for you, outlaws rarely lived past their 30s. Most of them died by shootouts or lynching, ambushed by bounty hunters, or turned into the sheriff by their own gang member. Stealing a horse was basically a death sentence. Many outlaws would be lynched or hanged for stealing a horse.
Stealing a horse? Oh yeah, they took that seriously. I mean, you could kill a man and you wouldn't. You could kill somebody in broad daylight and people wouldn't care. People wouldn't bat an eye. You don't even care. You steal a man's horse? Oh, people that aren't even involved will probably
Stealing a horse was basically a death sentence. Many outlaws would be lynched or hanged for stealing a horse. Yeah, not murder, not going over the speed limit.
Especially if it's someone's like prized horse. Because I mean, horses, it's like an animal. It's like an animal. It is an animal. It's like stealing someone's dog. There are people that will shoot you if you try to steal their dog, you know?
With your horse. No, they would kill you for stealing a horse. I mean, back then, horses were basically Lambos.
Yeah, there were cars.
The weather was absolutely brutal. Scorching summers and freezing winters could kill you if you didn't prepare. And most people lived in poorly insulated shacks. Dust storms, tornadoes, floods, and droughts were common. Most towns were miles from help, so if your house burned down or your well dried up, you were just, well, I guess screwed. Snowstorm? I guess you're freezing to death. You became an outlaw because robbery sounded easy on paper. You ride up, point a gun, take the money, ride off, and be a legend. But in reality, it's usually 3 exhausted men arguing about who forgot the dynamite while a 4th guy throws up in a bush. You've robbed stagecoaches with nothing inside but letters and goat cheese. You held up a bank only to
confidential bond or something.
Find out it moved locations a week prior. And goat cheese. You held up a bank only to find out it moved locations a week prior. One time you stopped a train, fought off 2 guards, and made it off with a locked chest full of stale bread. The payoff is rarely worth the scars, but you keep doing it because it's the only
They didn't know. A lot of times they didn't know if a train or if a stagecoach would actually have valuables on it. They would just kill who was ever on it and hope it had stuff. Like in video games, Red Dead Redemption in particular, they like have intel on every single thing. Like they somehow found out that this wagon would be rolling in. They would be carrying 2 pounds of gold or something. That wasn't the case a lot of the time.
Feel anything.
A lot of times they just did it by chance. And then, like he said, you would open a chest and would have spoiled bread or something.
And because boredom in the Wild West is more dangerous than bullets. When you're not robbing something, you're sitting around a fire listening to One-Eyed Billy describe in graphic detail how he lost the second eye he never had. Being an outlaw meant you most likely weren't getting married. Women are not your salvation. They're distractions at best, nightmares at worst. Like I said, outlaws died extremely young, so it's not like you had a ton of time to find one. If you somehow fall for a girl, she steals your money, your spare bullets, and your horse. All in that order. If your lady doesn't steal, then she could decide to join you on your life of crime, or turn you into the police. One outlaw married his first cousin and had 2 children. Another one had his wife kidnapped by police as a way to get to him. So, yeah, maybe don't get yourself a girl. Now, sheriffs might be worse than you. They're often drunk, corrupt, or both. They'd shoot you for...
Yeah, that's...
Might be
most
worse.
sheriffs pre 1900.
than you. They are often drunk,
Most sheriffs were just actual cowboys that were just playing the law like a fiddle,
corrupt, or
and
both.
they would like be like the scandals they were involved
They'd shoot you
in.
for stealing a pie, but ignore a murder if the guy pays taxes. They don't just kill outlaws, they erase them. Burn down their hideouts, interrogate their lovers, mail their ears to their mothers. You've been running from one for over a year now. He's got a silver revolver and a dead stare. Sometimes you dream about him, standing over your grave and shooting you in the foot. You don't sleep well. When you do, it's usually on rocks, in mud, or under some wagon with a broken axle. One time you woke up with a possum chewing on your toe. Another time you woke up in a pine box because someone thought you were dead and tried to bury you. You once slept inside a dead horse to avoid a blizzard. Gunfights are the most famous part of the Wild West.
Inside of a dead horse? That has to be a joke. There's no way someone's done that.
But these definitely weren't how they look in the movies. They're chaos. People miss at point blank range, guns jam, horses bolt, and someone always gets shot in the ass. You've been shot 6 times. One of them was from your own gang, accidentally, during an argument about who got the last piece of stale bread. You've dug bullets out of your flesh using a spoon, a rock, and once a sharpened spoon-shaped rock. Your left side is more metal than meat, but you keep firing because the only other option is getting shot in the ass again. There's no retirement plan, no peaceful ranch, no future.
Just on horseback shooting. A lot of times horses would get spooked by a gunfire and they would just buck you, and then you would just end up on the ground. Your horse would just run away. Like your horse would be gone. You would get in a shootout, your horse would run away because of the gunshot.
It's the fantasy of maybe getting rich enough
probably
to
just shoot the horse.
Vanish. But even the ones who try end up in shallow graves under fake names. One guy you knew got out, opened a bakery in Kansas. 3 months later, a bounty hunter recognized his limp.
Yeah. His real name is Jonathan Taylor, but he goes by Jonathan Freebird or some stupid cowboy outlaw name. Jonathan Freebird. Jonathan Anthony Freebird. There we go.
Him through the window.
Yep.
No one even got the muffin he was holding. You don't think about tomorrow because it's too painful. You think about breakfast, about bullets, and how many days you can stretch one can of beans. Hope is a luxury you buried 2 states ago. By the time you're an outlaw grandpa, your body is a collection of scars and failed surgeries. Your left leg clicks when you walk, your shoulder aches whenever it rains, and your back hasn't felt normal since you fell off a stolen horse during a thunderstorm in Nebraska. Doctors back then didn't really know what they were doing.
All they did was just, oh, your arm hurts? Let's cut it off and maybe it won't hurt anymore. Oh, you feel bad? Drink some liquor. Oh, let me just inject you with this serum that I've put together.
No anesthetics, they didn't believe in germs, and they were all about speed during surgeries instead of actually doing a good job. Being an outlaw isn't a legend.
Yeah, they just removed, oh, you have a headache? Let's remove your brain.
It's a slow, sad life until one day you don't see the ambush coming. One day the bullet's faster. One day the name you gave yourself dies in the dirt with you. Forgotten, unmarked, and unloved. And even then, it still beat a long life of farming.
Imagine how many...
The United States of America.
Imagine how many cowboys there are just buried under the ground.
Name you gave yourself dies in the...
Well, that's sad. I mean, pretty much what I expected. Being an outlaw sucks. You have to constantly worry about people killing you, and you have no money. It looks a lot better in the games and on TV. You know, they got gold. You know, the gangs are together. You know, a lot of times back then, gangs would just rat each other out. You know, there was no loyalty at all. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video though. Would you want to be an outlaw? Would you rather live in today's world or that world? Let me know in the comments below. I'd definitely rather live now. There's lots of corruption, but I mean, the corruption is probably a lot better. I mean, corruption can't be bad at all, but point is, I'd rather live in today. I wouldn't want to constantly worry about getting shot at. That is really stressful, and I feel like it's not healthy for the brain. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if I should react to anything else by this guy, and yeah, I'll leave a link in the description to this guy's video. It was a great video. I love anything cowboy or anything history. I love history. It's one of my favorite things. If teachers made more, I would definitely be a history teacher, and I would definitely teach at a university or something, or like at the high school level, but I don't know. Anyway, though, hope you guys have a great day or night, It's nighttime for me. I'm ready to go to bed. I'm very tired. It is 1 in the morning right now. So yeah, hope you guys have a great night. And yeah, until next time, peace out.